Good afternoon and welcome to the 2021 Convocation for Boston University's Wheelock College of Education and Human Development. My name is David Chard. It is my honor to serve as Dean of BU Wheelock. No words can express adequately how disappointing it is for us to not be able to be with you to celebrate in person. Traditionally, our convocation ceremony is an important moment in time for you and your loved ones to celebrate your achievement. It's also an important moment for our faculty and staff to mark the completion of our collective work together. That said, we're prepared to make the best of today's ceremony. Graduates, we want you to take a moment to thank your families, partners, and loved ones. Like you, we are very grateful for everybody that supported you during your studies. Wherever you are, please take a moment to express your gratitude. Over the past 3 years, our faculty and staff have begun the exciting work of building a new college together, the newest college at Boston University. The result is a community committed to transforming the systems that impact learning and human development for a thriving, sustainable, and just Boston and beyond. As graduates of this college, you are part of our commitment. As you pursue your career in education and human development, you will become the agents of the transformation we need as a community and a country. As a result of our work together, we have a growing faculty, a substantially increased endowment to support faculty initiatives and student scholarships, and a focus on making a positive impact through our research and professional preparation of our students. This year, we saw a significant jump in our rankings compared to all schools and colleges of education in the United States, and are among the top 10 independent colleges of education in the country. Our continued improvement will ensure that your degree from BU Wheelock will grow in value over time. If Lucy Wheelock, the namesake of our college, were with us today, I would tell her that her name and cause, supporting families and communities in Boston, lives on. And you, our graduates, are prepared to positively impact children, families, and communities around the world. Before we proceed with today's ceremony, I want to take a moment to acknowledge the deep sense of loss and sadness that we have all experienced in the past year. I call upon Associate Dean for Academic Affairs, Dr. Linda Banks-Santilli, to offer her thoughts.
Thank you, Dean Chard. While today is a day of celebration, we often rely on family and friends to help us acknowledge life's achievements. The pursuit of an academic degree and the obtainment of that degree requires intellectual curiosity, persistence, determination, an internal drive to advance one's knowledge and place in the world. Pursuing a degree amid a pandemic that has claimed more than 2 million people's lives globally, almost 600,000 nationally, and another 17,000 here in Massachusetts, BU's home state, are numbers that are hard to comprehend and easy to objectify in dashboards, in data displays, in statistical graphs and charts. But those numbers represent people whose lives were claimed by COVID-19. Your grandmother in a nursing facility or assisted living, my uncle, a cousin, your mail carrier, a neighbor, a disabled child, a member of your church, synagogue, or mosque, or more than one member of your extended family. Sadly, the same social and economic disparities that were a part of our society before COVID-19 have today created disproportionate rates of illness and death among communities of color, especially in African American communities. BU is a microcosm of the world, a renowned university with 17 schools and colleges, more than 35,000 students, it too has suffered. It has suffered the loss of students, faculty, staff, administrators, and alumni here and abroad. Today is a day of celebration of your extraordinary effort and achievement amid a pandemic. If you or your family has suffered personal loss, remember that you belong to the BU Wheelock Alumni Collective. We are here to embrace you. As spring approaches and the weather grows warmer in Boston and the light extends through early evening, I'd like to leave you with some words from Chiefs Seattle and Tecumseh, Native American leaders. Humankind has not woven the web of life. We are but one thread within it. Whatever we do to the web, we do to ourselves. All things are bound together. All things connect. When you rise in the morning, give thanks for the light, for your life, for your strength, and honor the legacies of those who have left our lives, our hearts, and this earth. And now I'd like to introduce a special guest who will perform for us today. Dee Ruff is a spoken word poet, author of Staying on 94, Tales from a Misguided Soul, creative director of Boston Pulse Poetry Program, and co-host of the If You Can Feel It, You Can Speak It open mic movement for the last 11 years. He has been writing and performing for over 20 years, most recently in the Isabella Stewart Gardner production called Dear Mr. McKellar. Most of his poems stem from personal experiences and from his environments, and therefore range in topics from Black love and heartbreak to inequality and Black culture. Dee Ruff performs with inspiring passion and hopes that any Black body will also want to find a way to express themselves, find that tribe, and achieve their greatness with the intention of leaving the cycle of hurt, pain, and negativity right where it was showcased. Please welcome Dee Ruff.
Sometimes, when I say a phrase repeatedly until it grows redundant or stale, it's because some phrases are selling tickets wholesale. And I'm not the type to buy dreams from tall tales feeling Black realities are worse. See, in high school, I had to answer a series of questions. First, what was I there for? To learn. What does it take? Courage, discipline, and perseverance. See, lacking drive at the time, feeling I could just coast by, I had 5 years, every school day, 2, maybe 3 times to say it. And by my graduation is when those words finally grew. And today, I ask you to glance to your left and to your right and say and feel with all your spirit and might, I am human potential transformed. Because this is the eye of the fight. Because you could have quit last year and no one would have blamed you or shamed you. Many of us sharing moments with people we would before deem strangers. You continued remotely crossing finish lines past dangers, protests, and racial tension, political fairs, hospitals feeling an overextension, and Amazon seems to have all the wares, but who cares when the post office can't deliver and jobs are being lost, how the world shut down and toilet paper was being bought by the box. We know the cost, yet we collectively survive. So definitely take the time to celebrate, cry, shout, cheer, for all to hear, feel those emotions you didn't allow yourself to feel last year. But now, how do we further address it? Those reoccurring problems get deeper to the root, because transforming the systems that impact learning and human development can't happen if the public is selective about the truth. For a thriving, sustainable, and just future in Boston and beyond, some of us know words need proof. So to the other half of the graduating class, don't forget about the half that's graduating with you. It's more than racist lesson plans and dress codes coded in misogynoir. This is about the stakes, needing a revelation in how school policies aren't willing participants, but they'll certainly sell it, y'all. How girls are quiet assaulted in academic environments, because when they holler, it's always perceived as violent. So they have to cry silent with the school bias, especially if the team needs a win. Reinforcing heteronormative roles, because certain lives are told they don't fit in. So devise the revised depiction. New leaders, admin, teachers with new fire and conviction. Be exclusive with your lesson. Be inclusive with your plans. And advocate for who institutions unjustly reprimand. Now, how do you move forward? That's not something I can speak on. And if a course wasn't covered, Professor Life will find a way to teach on. And repeat, he will teach on. So remember what you're here for and know you're a vessel. Courageous guiding stars, examples of human potential, with the disciplines to transform problems that once couldn't be solved, involving persevering perspectives to help the present truly evolve. Congratulations, graduating class of 2021.
Thank you, Dean Banks-Santilli, for your thoughtful comments, and Dee Ruff for your meaningful and beautiful spoken word. Graduates, as you commence this weekend, you will join over 300,000 people in the BU alumni family. We hope that you will take full advantage of the network of terriers that have preceded you. It is my honor to introduce to you one of our amazing alums who has taken time to come and address you today, Julie Duran. Julie was born and raised in Los Angeles, California, and moved to Boston, Massachusetts to pursue a degree in biomedical engineering at BU. While in college, Julie worked as a tutor for Upward Bound and Build, where she discovered her passion for teaching. Since then, Julie has been passionate about creating opportunities for low-income students of color like herself to attend and thrive in college. She earned an MAT in math education at BU Wheelock in 2010. She is also an alumna of Latinos for Education's Aspiring Latino Leadership Fellowship, through which she consulted with Sociedad Latina to improve recruitment and retention of high-quality after-school instructors. Prior to becoming a high school principal, Julie was a math department chair for 3 years and taught eighth grade math for 5 years. In 2016, her students earned the highest growth percentile in the city of Boston on the 8th grade math PARCC exam. Before working at Boston Prep, she taught grades 9 through 12 at Cape Cod Regional Technical High School for 2 years, where she was recognized as Innovative Teacher of the Year in 2011. Since 2019, Julie has served as the high school principal at Boston Prep, a charter public school serving students primarily from Dorchester, Mattapan, and Hyde Park, with a 10-year record of 100% four-year college acceptance. She has developed strategic initiatives to incorporate social-emotional learning into the school's curriculum. A strong believer in the power of family partnership, she has worked to improve how the school communicates and involves families in student progress. Please welcome Julie Duran to the podium.
Thank you, Dean Shard. First, I'd like to thank Boston University Wheelock School of Education and Human Development for the opportunity to speak with you all. My experience at BU was essential for shaping my career in education, and it's an honor to share this moment with you. Work in education has never been straightforward. It has never been just about showing up to class, lecturing at the front of the classroom, handing out worksheets, and hoping that the magic happens on its own. Great educators, administrators, and counselors have always been innovative problem solvers and have always been willing to do everything they can to support students and their families. That support requires creativity. In this line of work, we have always needed a backup plan for every situation, and then needed a backup plan to that backup plan, knowing full well that that too may need a contingency plan. But every challenge we face demands a solution. And rather than wilt in the face of pressure, we have to innovate and rise to the occasion. The situation of our country at this moment has multiplied this challenge exponentially. We and our students are living with a daily anxiety and stress that few generations have faced. And we are seeing the communities we serve struggle to receive the simple right to an equitable education. You all are about to start or continue your careers in the midst of all of these difficulties. It would be easy in this moment to give up. But I have learned that it is in these moments that we shine. It is in these moments when we have to summon all of our passion and our expertise. It is in these situations that truly great work with students happen. Every problem has a solution, even if it's not a perfect one. If we can no longer have our students turn and talk to one another in the class, we figure out how to do breakout rooms in a Zoom room. If we can't see our students work when they're at home, we show them how to make a makeshift document camera by using an old CD to reflect their work onto the Zoom screen. If a student isn't attending regular counseling sessions, we text, we call, we send invitations to outdoor socially distanced check-ins. If shutting down school creates meal uncertainty, we mobilize meal services to cover breakfast, lunch, and dinner for students and their families. Now, can we solve all the problems we are facing? No. And it's important that we're good to ourselves and acknowledge what we can't control. And remember that we decided to work with students because we cared about giving them the best opportunities possible. And while this moment may test us, it will also bring out the best in us. Let this moment be an experience that shapes you. Throughout your career, you will be tasked with solving impossible challenges and take on roles that go beyond your title. You'll be asked to combat forces far beyond the walls of your school. And if this pandemic has revealed anything, is the sheer number of inequities that our students in our schools face on a daily basis. Those issues that prevent our students from reaching their highest potential will still exist when the pandemic ends. And you will have to harness your resourcefulness, your ingenuity, and most importantly, your heart to guide your students forward in the years to come. So while this may be one of the most difficult times to be working in schools or in the field of human development, I think it will also produce some of the most innovative and inspiring moments in your life. May these moments lay the foundation for the amazing careers you all have ahead of you. Congratulations on your graduation.
Thank you very much, Julie, for your remarks. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ellen Fizewski, and I'm the Associate Dean for Student Affairs. I have the pleasure today of introducing our undergraduate student speaker, Emma Lincoln. Emma is receiving a Bachelor of Science degree in Mathematics Education. Emma grew up in Massachusetts before studying at Boston University. During her undergraduate studies, she interned and student taught at Framingham High School. Next year, Emma will be returning to Boston University to earn a master's degree in special education while also beginning her career as a math teacher. Emma loves working with her students more than anything and enjoys learning just as much from them as they do from her. Please allow me to introduce Emma Lincoln.
Dean Chard and administrators, faculty, staff, and most important, fellow graduates and your families. It is a pleasure and an honor to be here with you today. On the very first day of ED 100, in the fall of 2017, Rob Martinelli looked out at all of us in the theater seats in our classroom and said, "At the beginning of law school, they tell you, look to your left, look to your right. Only one of you will be here when you graduate. But what I like to say is this: look to your left, look to your right. The people sitting next to you might just be your friends for life." That day, as we were talking for the first time in our undergraduate careers about what it means to be educators, I did happen to be sitting next to someone who would become one of my best friends from BU and for life. Perhaps it was by chance that we sat next to each other that day. Or maybe Rob Martinelli really just does know all. Given that this friend and I had met 2 months prior at summer orientation and have remained attached to the hip ever since, I can't remember a single math exam we haven't studied for together. There was probably a little more than fate involved that day, but don't tell Rob. He set the stage for the next 4 years of our lives, all of our lives. In every BU Wheelock class we've taken for the past 4 years, we've found familiar faces, many of whom we saw for the first time that day in ED 100. Many of us have learned to be the educators and other professionals we've dreamt of being alongside one another for all these years. I'd like to think that no matter where we've ended up over the course of our undergraduate careers, in student teaching and other field-based practicums, or heading to grad school, or on a completely different path than we entered on, Rob's words have rung true. I hope that I speak for all of us when I say that seeing our peers in passing on Comm Ave or in the BU Wheelock lobby has made these past 4 years feel like home. People who were once mere acquaintances in our first few days on campus are now some of the people we've come to know better than anyone else. It goes without saying that this was not the year any of us envisioned. It certainly wasn't part of our 4-year plans to take classes on Zoom or even end our time at BU without being on campus. Some of us are finally reuniting this weekend for the first time in over a year with the people we grew so close to at BU, and some of us still haven't been able to just yet. There is absolutely no way to minimize the amount of loss we've all experienced over the last 14 months in so many aspects of our lives. None of us could have predicted what the world would look like now, not even Rob, nor could we have known just how long this would affect our lives. I know we all know that nothing lasts forever, and the pandemic will come to an end eventually. But I think if there's one thing I've learned from the past year, it has been to live in the moment. It sounds simple and overdone, but when we found out last year that we wouldn't be coming back to campus after spring break, I don't think I realized then just how much I would miss saying hi to the employees at Einstein's Bagels as I ran to my next class in CAS, or getting lost in Boston on the T with my best friends. All of the things that were once trivial, fleeting moments are the things I would go back and do now and appreciate more in the moment. Even the hard and stressful parts of being a college student, like studying for endless exams and trying to register for classes that were already filled, are the parts of college that made it worth it for me. For years I've known that I want to teach math, but I didn't realize just how challenging the CAS math courses at BU would be. Every late night spent doing problem sets and studying was more than worth it to become a math educator. But I would have never told you in the middle of those late nights that I would miss those moments someday. And now I know, I do. I'd ask you to think about what those moments were for you. Not because it's sad that they've come and gone, but because it means so much that those moments happened. Along with this, I think both BU Wheelock and the pandemic have taught me, and I'm sure many of us, to be okay with change. None of the plans I had for the past year, or even for the upcoming year, have stayed exactly the same. And my friends and family, I'm sure, would be happy to tell you that change is not something I do well with. But does anyone? While most of us may share that sentiment, I think the past 4 years, and especially the past year, have shown us that change can and will happen, both for the good and the bad. As teachers and child life professionals and youth justice advocates, I think many of us love to plan ahead and map out our time in college and our career paths, but I really do believe that plans change, sometimes as soon as we make them, and in turn, they change us for the better. And perhaps that has to do with our own feelings about change, but I really think it has to do with the people we surround ourselves with. We have been surrounded during our time at BU Wheelock and at BU on the whole by some of the most knowledgeable, hardworking, and genuinely caring professors we could have ever asked to have. They have taught us about advocating for the youth we'll be teaching and working with, and about the content we'll be teaching, and about being the best versions of ourselves. They've answered our late night emails and helped us make plans and then make new plans, and I, for one, do not know where I would be without them. But for many of us, too, it has been those lifelong friends we've found at BU who have made the change and the personal growth and the hardship we've endured worth it. Because college has given us far more than our degrees today. And I hope it's the people and the memories that we take with us more than anything. So, as we move on from our time in college to the next part of our lives, wherever we may go, I hope we continue to look to our left and to our right and find our lifelong people.
Good afternoon. I'm very happy to be here introducing our graduate student commencement speaker for 2021. My name is Kathy O'Connor. I'm a professor in education and linguistics, and I'm currently the Associate Dean for Doctoral Studies in BU Wheelock. Our graduate student speaker is Rosamund DePaul. Rosie will be receiving a Master of Education degree in Applied Human Development. Her particular area of focus is positive youth development. Part of Rosie's insights into positive youth development come from her interest in language. During her undergraduate studies at Bates College, Rosie studied rhetoric and Spanish. She's been a full-time nanny for the past 2.5 years, and she loves teaching and engaging bilingually with her 2 charges. So her recent accomplishments in positive youth development have an added depth coming from that knowledge and background. So welcome to our graduate speaker, Rosie DePaul.
Thank you. I could start this speech today by saying how wild this year has been, how unprecedented every turn has seemed, and how we've lived through multiple historical events together. But instead, I think I'll say, wow, we sure are adaptable. As Wheelock students, we have come to be more flexible and resilient as we've learned alongside one another, our students, our professors, to make the absolute most of this year. Even though I wonder what it would have been like to attend my graduate program in person, I can't imagine changing the relationships with classmates who are now friends and professors who are now mentors. This year was a shared reality that brought us closer, even as we were far apart. BU Wheelock has been a guiding beacon in the weird, hazy fogginess of this year. Our shared motives, purposes, and joy we found in our work and studies meant we were really never alone. Let's add that to our resumes. We were adaptable without an ounce of toxic positivity, an all too common attitude that pushes us to pretend like nothing is wrong and ignore life's challenges as if those obstacles don't exist. I have found connection and refreshing honesty in Zoom breakout rooms in which no one lied about how they were doing, because no one was okay all of the time. These were the spaces where we were able to support each other and commiserate about our comically dull lives, even if it was just bonding over wearing the same sweats as yesterday. And then there were times, so many times, when after a full day of working, I would feel simply deflated. Instead of apologizing for my lack of energy, I found the strength and affirmation I needed in my fellow Wheelock students, guiding me back to our collective Zoom room energy. My experience this year in the Positive Youth Development Program taught me the power of strengths and asset-based views of people. Both of these things together have allowed me to readjust my views on peers, coworkers, as well as friends and family. No matter the age, our view of the people with whom we surround ourselves matters and influences the ways in which we interact and engage. While studying with Dr. Tina Durand and Dr. William Rodriguez this year, I did the hard work of disrupting the deficit language that is all too common in our lives, replacing it with strengths-based language and perspective instead. I encourage everyone to take a moment to reflect. It can be now, it can be later, and see if looking for people's existing strengths might serve you better as well. At this point in our world, a deficit perspective isn't helping anyone. Instead, let's think about what we can do together and for each other, using a realistic, positive view of the world. Asset-based thinking doesn't mean we don't see differences. It means we look for the strengths inherently present in those differences and use them to help us build a better future. We need to come together, seeing each other fully and finding ways to improve our larger community. That community begins here at Wheelock, with each of us. I bet every single person graduating today can think of at least one tidbit you learned in your time here that could make an impact in your life as well as in your community. Think about it right now. What is it for you? How will you use it? Something I'm taking with me is that we must open ourselves up to youth, listening carefully as these young people are full of potential and assets that can enhance our communities. Their bright ideas and candid perspectives will continue to inspire the work that needs to be done here in Boston and beyond. Let's continue to take those cues from our incredible professors and classmates and use our asset-based thinking to make a small change within ourselves that can become a larger change in the communities in which we live. Congratulations on an incredible accomplishment. I know every person here is setting out onto a thrilling path of empowerment, radiance, and radical change, and I cannot wait to join each and every one of you in seeing how we can all continue to learn and grow together. Thank you.
Emma and Rosie, thank you for your inspiring remarks. I'm leaving my mask on only to tell you that we're smiling with pride underneath these masks. Graduates, today is certainly a day of celebration. By pursuing your degree at Boston University Wheelock College of Education and Human Development, you have set yourself apart. Those of you who receive your bachelor's degree today represent approximately 36% of Americans who have a college degree. Those of you who receive a master's degree join the fewer than 10% of US citizens who have achieved a graduate education. And for doctoral graduates, you represent the approximately 3% of the population who have received a doctoral degree. Of course, we are all very proud of your accomplishments. However, we want you to keep in mind that receiving your degree doesn't mark the end of anything. Rather, it marks a threshold to a new aspect of your professional and intellectual life. We look forward to seeing and hearing about the significant things you do for your community, our region, and the world. And we wish you good fortune in your career. Let me close today's ceremony by thanking Boston University and Boston University Wheelock College staff who have prepared this virtual ceremony. In particular, I'd like to thank Mary Ellen Medallo for her leadership. Graduates, we wish you all a wonderful graduation celebration this weekend, and platform party, if you will join me and stand and give a round of applause for our graduates.